What's up, ladies and gentlemen and ladies, lovers and haters, haters and lovers? Welcome to Agree to Disagree Talk, episode number 17. I am your host, Armond Anderson Bell. In studio with me tonight, good friend since high school, Miss Salamatu Den Beur.
Yes, hello. How are you? How are you guys doing out there?
You a little bit nervous?
I'm a little bit nervous. I am.
Tonight's topic is surviving single motherhood, stemming off of our show last week on Do Black Dads Matter. Really excited. So, as I do with every show thus far, I will get the disclaimer out because, as we know, people like to be in their feelings. So, with that being said, Agree to Disagree Talk. This show is geared towards the educating, empowering, and the implementation of voices, thoughts, and points of views from whom by society and sometimes self-standards way of thinking are oftentimes misheard, misunderstood, and badly misrepresented. By no means does this show wish to offend anyone outside the black male perspective. That be me right now. Nor do we wish to speak for anyone but the host and our co-host, which is Miss Salamatu today. We wish to raise attention and awareness of this through our controversial topics of discussion, which today is surviving single motherhood. We wish to attempt to change the perception from an us versus them and a me against the world attitude to levels of self-awareness, self-evolution, and self-accountability in the hopes of making it a better world and place for us all to live. Ladies and gentlemen, Agree to Disagree Talk, episode number 17, is officially on the docket. So,
Yes.
we're going to get right into it. Today's title of the show is Surviving Motherhood. And before we get into
Single
that,
motherhood.
single motherhood, right? You got it.
Yes.
So
But
you were
I guess
watching
I'll-
last week's show,
Absolutely.
and what inspired you to hit me up and come in to tell your story?
Well, because I wanted the audience to see a different perspective on single mothers. I think that's what really that is why I really wanted to reach out to you and say, hey, I have a story that I also want to tell, and I would love to come on and talk about my experience and my journey in single motherhood.
Right, and
it
it's,
was
it's very important to have both sides. Again, when I thought of this leg of Agree to Disagree Talk, is like I want to do more. So I am also working on the next leg, which is doing a co-parenting show.
Yes.
So I'm excited. If there's anybody out there that would like to join in on that conversation, please hit me up. Let me know. We do have the call-in line. We're kind of having a little tech difficulty, so it may not be able to hear the calls, but the call-in number is 323-577-7630. If you are watching the live feed, let me know that you are going to call in first so I can get the plug in so we can do that. So yeah, I'm really excited. What we're going to do first is just going to give, the people a background of who you are, and then we'll get into the questions.
Sure, no problem. I'm ready.
So, Miss Salamatu,
Yes.
tell me who you are.
Well, my name is Salamatu Den Beur. I am 38 years old. I was originally born in Nigeria, and I came here when I was a small child.
Okay.
I would say about 1 or 2 maybe.
And then from there, tell me a little bit about your journey here in America, so to say.
Well, my dad, he came out here to go to school, to get an education, and then him and my mom came out here, of course, for a better life. And I was raised, they came here first, and then a few years later, while they were here, they sent for me and my brother. And we ended up in Los Angeles
Yes.
and city of Hollywood, so that's where I was raised.
Okay.
Since I was very young.
Right. And we of course met in high school.
Yes.
John
John
Marshall High
Marshall
School.
High.
Yes. So we've known each other since then. What happened towards the last year of your high school journey?
Well, I had to drop out.
Okay.
So, of course, my mother, she had 4 kids. Of course, my dad, he left due to his own infidelities in the 80s. So he left in the middle of him getting our paperwork together as far as being a permanent citizens in this country. kind of what a lot of people who are undocumented pretty much go through. You were either brought here or, and your paperwork wasn't the way it's supposed to be in order for you to become a permanent resident or become a citizen. So you're kind of stuck. So that's what got me and my older brother stuck.
Okay. So you found out that you were undocumented, so to say.
When I was 15.
Oh, wow.
And that's because I was all like, okay, I'm 15 years old, and there was a new job that was opening up, which was like a Carl's Jr. job. And I wanted to get a job, and that's when I found out that, you know what, my mom told me, like, you don't have a social security number, you don't have a birth certificate, and your dad never really finished the paperwork in order for you, so you're basically undocumented. There's no way you could get a job. And my heart sunk. My heart sunk, because what people take for granted,
Right.
I wanted to work because, of course, my mom was a single mother. There was never enough. So when you get to an age where you say, you know what, I can handle a job, and to find out that, there's no way, it's very heartbreaking.
And you wanted to contribute to your family, as well
Household.
as, you're coming into being a young woman.
Absolutely. I was playing sports, of course, with playing sports and playing basketball. I stand 6'3", so I was an athlete. So that's what I wanted to use anyway, in the future when I was young, play basketball, sports. That would help me, with a career education. So I was like, you know what, I'm old enough, to get a work permit, and, I want to work even if it's part-time, and, be able to buy the things that I needed, and I absolutely couldn't.
And so you attended John Marshall until your junior year or senior year?
I attended until the beginning, almost when I was about to be a junior, and then I got recruited, so to say, to a Catholic school to play basketball, which never happened.
Oh,
Because the coach in John Marshall was upset that I was leaving.
Which coach was that?
Oh, Miss Wendy Triplett.
Oh,
Oh yeah. She made sure she halted that career. She halted that, yeah.
Miss Triplett, you should be shaming yourself.
So she called on because she thought it was an illegal recruiting. So I never.
So she sabotaged you.
Pretty much, you know what I mean. But
Oh.
I mean, you can't get mad if you have somebody, you're really not really paying attention to on a basketball team. So, and I wanted to go somewhere else, and I thought that would be better for me anyway, as far as education wise. But whatever it is, no hard feelings. But yeah, I didn't get to play anyway.
Did you
so-
find out that she sabotaged you right away?
Oh yeah, you could. Oh yeah, definitely.
Wow,
Because the coach who recruited me pretty much told me, but it was fine anyway because I was at the point anyway to where so much was going on at home that I really didn't even care. So it was a way for me to kind of leave anyway.
So what happened in your journey after you leaving Marshall, not getting the basketball?
I mean, that wasn't going to happen anyway because if you're undocumented, how will you be able to travel? How will you be able to do a lot of things?
Right.
So either way, I mean, even if it did happen to me, I couldn't be somebody, I couldn't just leave my family like that because at some point, financially, I mean.
And so you're trying to support your family. So what happened
Well, hell,
next?
my mom, she worked really hard. So I just wanted to make money that, I didn't have to ask her.
Okay.
Just to make money for myself. So, I just, figured out what kind of ways that I'll be able to make money. At 15, I did maid work, which was under the table. I did babysitting. But as you get older, your wants and needs change.
Right.
So the money that they're paying for babysitting or the hard work of maid service, doesn't pay much because then you're like feeling like your mom is working so hard when there's no like electricity or lights in the house. You want to make more money.
Right.
Because sometimes, when you're a single mother and you're raising children, there's never enough. You will go times where there's no lights, there's no, gas and stuff like that. She worked very, very hard.
So now you're out of school, you're working, and tell me you were married first, right?
Well. So when I hit about 17, I was like, okay, now I know I can't just go in. I don't have the money to hire a lawyer. So what is there for somebody in my age to do? A lot of people in my situation either turn to a life of crime, prostitution, stripping, whatever you can in order to get money. Luckily, I didn't have to go that deep into it. But yes, I went in to found a newspaper that I called LA Express. Yes, and they have almost everything in there. So I was able to get a job actually as a nude model at only 17.
Oh, wow. Do you think you were able to get in because of Your height or
Yeah, I was taller and I
right?
looked a little bit older. And a lot of people in those in those newspapers really didn't. They really didn't care as long as you looked pretty. You
Right.
had big tits, big ass. Pretty much, that's all you needed.
Right.
And yeah, that's pretty much what I did. I did a lot of fetish modeling. So that's how I made my money. I went from making $40, $30 a day babysitting for friends and everything to making $250, $300 every photo shoot.
They still hiring?
You know what? Now they're making.
They still, they still hiring?
Are they even still out?
Right. I don't think LA Express is, but it's something I think it's called Backpage or so I've
Oh,
heard.
you know, I guess
I
you
don't know
know.
for sure, but I've heard.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? If it wasn't the fact that my mom, she really was really strict on virginity and you know she really put that into me like look what I'm going through, so you probably want to think twice when you have sex. She was really just like that. Like, you know, you started your period, if you go, look what I'm going through, this is what you're going to go through. So I was kind of scared about that anyway. And with my dad leaving, I was already traumatized, so I was like, you know what, I don't want to go through this anyway. So
So
nude modeling kind of was safe for me. I kind of was able to be all like, you know, nah, I can't really do nothing other than that. 'Cause
right
I
because
wouldn't
you,
even know how to go give a blowjob back then anyway. So I would have,
but you also want to clarify. You said back then.
you know, back then. So
And
I would have been terrible. So
right. So this is what you're going. This is not what your life has come to, but as an undocumented individual.
undocumented, and it's the hardest thing when you're undocumented. People don't understand, you know, the effects of being undocumented. It's really hard because they can't deport you unless you commit a really violent crime or something like that. You threaten the president or something like that, but at the same time in a country, then they won't help you. So what are you to do? So you're kind of stuck.
Wow. And for how long did you remain undocumented?
Until I had my daughter, and then I got it through her father.
Okay, so tell me about that journey.
Okay, so that's where there was a time when everything got really tough. I mean, now that you're growing up, your brothers and sisters, you guys are growing up. You guys are kind of going your separate ways, but then your mom is getting older and she's getting tired. So, you know, there's going to be a point where everything pretty much just falls apart, and there'll be a time when you're on your own. So, I mean, well, in the process of me just pretty much doing my own thing, surviving, I met my child's father.
Okay.
And then it was an off and on relationship. He's from the Netherlands, he's Dutch. And we had an on again, off again relationship. And then I found out I was pregnant when we were on the on again. And when he
That just
found out
shook
I
your
was
world, huh?
pregnant, and that's when everything that I was came out in the open. Everything that he was just,
People say, you know, becoming a parent makes you grow up.
right.
Is that your case?
Yeah, it made me grow up, but I was scared. But the funny thing about it is didn't expect to have that type of reaction from somebody who was 12 years older than me, because he is older than me.
Okay.
So that's one thing that shocked me anyway. And then, you know, the fact that he was just like, oh, no, you know, I'm just not ready to be a parent. And I'm all like, okay, well then so, but, you know, I'm going to take responsibility for what I did, and I'm going to raise this child, and you're going to be responsible.
So you did. Do you say you suffered because it is an interracial relationship?
Yes. It became known interracial when I got pregnant.
Okay.
Now I was Nigerian, and now he was Dutch. Now I'm black, and now he's white. Now I dropped out of school, so now I was uneducated and all that. You know, and everything came out like how, you know, all of a sudden I was everything he didn't want. But then at the end,
at
and
that
then
moment.
at that moment, but like I said, you know what I mean? Well, I was uneducated, I was Nigerian, I was black when you nutted in me, so that wasn't a problem. So now we're gonna have to do what we have to, you know, we're gonna have to take care, you know, you have to take care of this responsibility. And he was just like, you can't make me be a father. No, I can't make you be a father, but I think I can make you to be responsible.
Right.
And I decided, like, you know, from what I've experienced, I'm not even gonna lie. I thought about it, like, what am I gonna do? You know what I mean?
That's a big shift.
It is.
You go from being in a relationship, but you were so on top of the perks of being a mother. Before you were being a mother, you were able to get your so you were saying that you guys didn't get married until your daughter.
Until she was about 6 months old. So what we ended up deciding was he wanted every which way to find every which way out and to stress me out. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I want you out of my place. I don't want to have anything to do with this pregnancy. He was really, really coming from a place of like fear, like what are my family gonna think? What is she's not the perfect girl or this and that, whatever it was.
Right.
Before I got pregnant, you know.
It all came to surface.
Okay, yeah.
That's interesting, and we again, I'm doing these shows and I'm having these conversations because we don't talk about these things. As a people, we're expected to just press on and move
Right,
on,
right.
and we see our parents do it. I don't have the luxury of having a child, so I don't know. I know firsthand from the things that my mother did, and I've talked to other friends who are my age, who are parents. So, how was that shift again from being single to being, and now he's doing all this extra?
There's, I was, started to just stress out, and I started to not eat and lose a lot of weight and thought about, you know what, maybe it's best that I just go ahead and terminate my pregnancy. But then that's not what I wanted. It's something that I know was just going to make him feel better and make everything okay. But I wanted my daughter. So I decided, you know what? It doesn't matter what situation I am. I'm going to go ahead and have my daughter. Because my mom, she said something very interesting. She was like, you know what? You are in a country, even though I know that, you're undocumented and all that, you're in a country where you have rights anyway, and, they'll help you. So I wouldn't go that route, because the only person who are you trying to please, is it him, or do you want to just make this go away, or is this a decision from your heart, or what it is? Go with what your heart tells you. My heart was, I'm going to have my child, and, I can't make you be a father, but, I can make you be responsible, whether it be financially.
So, whose idea was the marriage?
Okay, so we were apart, because he decided, for me to just get up and just leave. And I was all like, you know what, okay, I'm not going to move out just like that because, my situation. So, how about we do this? You get me a place, pay the first and last month's rent, and then, I'll go from there. And I don't even have to see you again if you don't want to see me again. But that's a decision I'm going to leave up to you,
Right.
you know.
So you basically were co-parenting without even before. People have been doing it for years, but again, that's another shift that you had to say this has to happen.
Yeah.
Because your daughter is number one.
She was number one at it. I was like, you know what? And I sat, and the reason why I made the decision to say, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and have my child and then give him space, is because I said, you know what, I'm not going to go ahead and repeat the cycle what my mom went through. I'm going to make him, well, I can't make him responsible, but I'm going to find a way to where, we could both be on the same page. And eventually he will have to take responsibility for his daughter.
That takes a lot of, because now you are mother, so you are selfless now. And so you have to do a lot of introspective.
And figure out how I'm going to take care of her, how I'm going to work, what I'm going to do. And what I did was, well, now I can talk about it because it's all squared away with attorneys and everything like that. My sister, she was 18 at the time, or 19. So what I had to eventually end up doing was taking her identity in order for me to be able to work and bring home a paycheck. So that's how I went about doing it. And let me tell you something, I had to be truthful about that in my immigration hearing, and that almost cost me my permanent residency.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I wouldn't recommend that.
How did
but
they find out? Or
I
so
had to
tell me about
hire
the
a
process.
lawyer.
Right.
So I had to hire a lawyer, and then she had to go back to if I commit a crime or anything like that, but I fingerprinted. So it came back as a hit that it was with another name.
Oh.
So
And this all happened when you got married, right?
yeah, when we were going through the paperwork, like, whether I was detained, because I had to go to court for, warrants and stuff like that. So I had to be completely truthful. But I guess where I was able to I think it would have to be with the woman that I was talking to, the officer. So I was honest, and she kind of felt my honesty, and she granted me my paperwork because I basically told her, well, what would you expect me to do? Go out there and become a prostitute, start selling drugs, and commit a crime? I had to do what I had to do in order to take care of my child and assume an identity. You know what I mean? If I took my sister's identity, but I also filed taxes, so
Right.
I didn't
And
use
they
it for
don't
immigration purposes, but
they don't see that as the good side of struggle. They
yeah,
just,
they see it as a bad thing. So she could have, but because she was a woman and I was very truthful and I had an attorney, so she granted me my
that's
paperwork, and
really
I'm very lucky
interesting.
for that.
We don't hear or we don't often see that side of, again, here you've been here all your
All
life.
my life.
And you find out that you're undocumented and
Yes.
you want to do good.
Yeah.
We met in high school. You were in high school with me. It's just interesting factor. And so all these things, life is showing up.
Right.
And then
Now
you
you're
have
getting
another,
life.
you have your daughter. So you have
Right.
another life. Life is showing up with another life.
With another life. So for me, that's the way I went. But just imagine the women women and men, who are raising children and are undocumented. It's a very tough struggle. These are things you deal with. You can't get dental care.
Right.
I don't know
it's
now.
It's not a color thing.
It's not a color
We
thing.
try to certain people in this country try to limit or use other words to say, the people who are not born here, but it happens all the time, and we see it, and we're not talking about it. And I'm so glad that you're here talking about this thing, because it's something, again, we don't talk about.
Yeah, you don't talk. People don't want to see the bad side of being undocumented. It's very, very hard. You can't buy cigarettes. You can't buy alcohol. You can't work. You can't have
buy
anything.
no alcohol.
You can't, because you don't have an ID.
Oh, good.
Unless you send somebody in there, or you
Right.
can't. You can't have the luxuries of somebody who's an American citizen has. And sometimes it's not your fault, because it's not my fault that my dad wanted to bring me here and then do his thing and leave.
I've talked about privilege on this show before, and now we know there's always groups that have a privilege and privilege is having something that you just naturally have. And there's some people who are just mean with it, but like, I have no idea. I was born and raised here.
Right.
And so I never would know how that is. And we never, I don't think, in school we never judged you. We all hung out because we went to a school that was not predominantly black. So we all stuck together.
Right.
We were in the BSU together
Right.
and, things like that. But and this is all stuff going on while we were in school.
Everything that's going while you're in school, and then
I had no idea.
Yeah, and then on top of that, then you have the issues that come with it. You're undocumented, or you're coming from a family that's struggling. So you're coming to school. Okay, sometimes you've been wearing the same clothes for a week. Sometimes you haven't showered. So all that it's very hard. People think that it's just like, okay, she's undocumented. Why don't you just go get your paperwork? You have to pay a lawyer. You pay that money, and some lawyers cost, depending on your case, within the thousands.
See, that's where the universal empathy comes from, because it's not just Latinos who are undocumented, and other people, are like I hate when they say foreigners.
Right.
That word is just so nasty, but that also comes with bullying, and we talked about that. So I want to backtrack.
Oh, bullying, yeah.
Because I want to go back to right. So tell me how that was growing up.
Oh, growing up. So for me, the bullying was opposite. It wasn't really from white people. It was mainly from black people like me and Latinos. So the Latinos weren't as bad. It was more like our race was more like hey, how's the weather up there, or that type of thing. It wasn't more like, it was more my people. So it was like the Shaka Zulu, Shaq, you're so black, it was that, like, nappy head, BDBs and stuff like that. But, for me, my afro was beautiful. Right. My BDBs, as they call it, was beautiful. It wasn't pressed and curled.
In school, because again, it was
right, but
but again, I was knowledgeable of different people.
Right.
So again, I've come from being someone who's from South LA, then coming out as a same-sex attracted or gay man.
Right.
I knew what it felt like.
Yeah, to be.
And so I didn't want to try to. Again, that's something I've been doing all my life.
Right.
I wish, as a people, somehow in some way we've developed or we made the connection of when I don't understand something or it scares me, I make
Right.
fun of it.
Right.
And you've seen the side of it. And I have,
Right.
again, some of my best reporters are heterosexual white people.
Right.
In my case, the resistance, the ignorance comes from the people of my same color.
Right. Right. Right.
And
Right.
yours, it was again,
It was, yeah.
I'm pretty sure, and we talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
You were confused or
Yeah, I was
mistaken
like,
as a man.
yeah. Oh, of course.
know.
Especially growing up in Hollywood. I mean, being 6'3", having short hair. It was not like, hi, let me see if they got the Adams apple. She got tits. She got some big ass. But, it's West Hollywood, Hollywood. So, like, but in school, it was more where the real killing was from.
Right.
So, but, yeah, it was mainly my people and also their parents because I like wearing different colors. So I was always that girl who didn't match or who didn't have this or didn't have that. But that's not how I was raised. I wasn't raised to worry about, oh, my hair had to be braided up pimping. It was put on your clothes and go to school and get the education and come back home.
Right.
My mom wasn't into about labels, Adidas and Jordans or nothing like that. Hers is just survival instinct as if she was back home.
Right.
That's how she raised us, working very hard.
So we'll go back forward. Your daughter is born.
Yeah, so,
You've been married.
yeah, well, no, we didn't get married just yet. So we had our ups and downs. And then he came around when I was about like 7, 8 months pregnant and he wanted to work things out. But I think he mainly, now thinking back, is like, I have this responsibility. I have my daughter on the way, a baby on the way. Her mom is undocumented. Let me just fake funk it and make things right so I could help her get her paperwork and stuff like that. So she'll be able to at least take care of my daughter.
Okay.
But it had to take us kind of like him, because he's the one who served me with the divorce.
Oh.
So I was blindsided with that.
Really?
I was very blindsided with that.
Wow.
But if you think about it, in a way, I was like, well, it was a 3-year mark, and all of a sudden it's like, I don't want to be married anymore. But, you're good now. You'll be able to work and,
Do you think that?
And I thank him from that in a way, even though we had our differences, in a way, I was like, okay, yeah, at least he stepped up on that part.
Right. So your daughter's growing up. What are some of the things you're trying to implement? Because you have to raise her with appreciation for her Nigerian culture,
Yes.
her American culture,
Right.
and her Dutch culture.
Right.
And so growing up, you knew that the pains that you were going through. What were some of the things that helped you through this process?
I think just seeing how strong my mom was when we were growing up, I just noticed she never gave up no matter what the situation is, no matter whether we were living in, renting a room from a friend's house, whether we were living in a hotel, whether we were doing this, she was always strong. And even no matter how angry I got, she was always telling me, it gets harder before it gets easier.
Right.
And it's one day at a time. Just work to please you, not to please other people. And we're going to get through this. So I think that's by me seeing her go through that, it kind of made me stronger because I think it helped me, that made me stronger in a way for me to be able to help my daughter. Like, there are things that my mom didn't do, and I understand why she didn't do it. So I raised my daughter that way. Like I give her affection.
Right.
I'm there. I make sure I drop her off at school. I make sure that I pick her up because those are the things that I wanted when I was a kid.
Right.
You know what
shout
I
out to
mean?
her because today is her birthday.
Yes, Michaela, 14 years old. Happy birthday, sweet pea.
So
Yes.
that's a journey because
Yeah.
I'm seeing other parents and other women and things you don't really get to feel because your main priority is your child.
Is your children.
So how do you develop an act for processing being a single mother, having all these things, and at the same time still showing up? One of my dear friends, Alfreda Lenoir, always talked about parents, and she said our parents do the best they have with what they're given.
What they're given, right.
And I see that as an adult now at
Right.
41. I see the stuff that my mother didn't get a chance to process because
Right.
you don't get a chance to look back.
No, you
There's
don't.
if you
have
look back,
children.
you'll fall.
Yeah, yeah. If you,
You know?
yeah.
And so, what were some
mom-
of the things that you, again, doing the best you have with what you had, but then also, I don't want to say mistake because it's life. Life is not a
Right.
mistake. It's
Not a
just
mistake.
life.
Right.
But you have that in mind now. You have another person to care for.
Yeah. So, with raising my daughter, I pretty much, like you say, I process things. So I did the things my mom wasn't able to do because she was working. And even if I'm working, I made time for it. My mom felt she couldn't make time for it because, it was 3 to 11, 11 to 7, take a thing, and then it was back again.
Right.
But with me, I took time for that. If I was working, my job, my daughter came first. I went to the recitals. I went to the shows. And my mom, what was very funny? Even though my mom was working, she found time to show up.
Right.
She did find time to show up. And that's something that I will never forget of my mom. I don't know how she did it, but when we had I don't know how she did it. It was just I was like, okay, well, I'm not even going to sign this permission slip. I'm not even going to give it to her. But I'll go and I'll check my backpack and it's signed.
Right. That again
I'll,
at 41.
I'll get dressed myself and it'll be like a school play. I'll look out. She's there.
And she's there. Our parents are our superheroes. Before
Right.
this is the new generation.
Oh, yes.
So my superheroes, my mom,
Right.
my great grandmother, my grandmother, they would come to my events on the bus together. Before there
Right.
was a Yahoo.
Yeah.
And I thank them for that.
Yes.
At 41, those lessons helped me become a better person. Not knowing that when my mom said, "Oh, I'm done. I don't want to eat because I'm full," it wasn't because she was full. There wasn't enough food.
It wasn't enough. Absolutely. It wasn't enough.
And you sit back and it's and I look back and all her motherness, I thank her for the things that she did.
Yeah, she
Teaching
did.
me to read and write at an early age, getting me interested in books, raising 7 kids.
Wow.
There's 7 of us. I'm the oldest of 7.
Wow. That's
And
amazing.
although she had her bumps,
Uh-huh.
there was a lot of things my mom and my dad, who's no longer here,
Right.
I thank them for that.
Right. Absolutely.
What are some of the things you would like other mothers to understand?
I know if somebody's listening, you're probably a single mother because I've been through that. You're probably are going through it and you're renting a room. You're probably going through it and you're living in a shelter. You're probably, whatever your job is, whether you're a dancer, whether you're a hustler or whatever it is, and you're a single mom, know that, keep going. No matter how hard it is, keep on going and don't give up because it will get better.
Right.
It will get better.
That's
The times where you just can't do it and you feel like, I just want to give up. Don't. Keep going. Take it one day at a time. Trust me, it will get better because it's very hard.
Right.
It's very hard. And what's funny is it becomes quiet. It becomes a very quiet place. It becomes a very lonely place because when you're going through a storm, you seem to find that nobody is there.
Amen. I didn't mean to get preachy, but I feel your sister.
People disappear. Casper, ghost. You know what I mean? But you concentrate on you and your mental health and your children, and you'll get over it. Find times, and don't be afraid to ask for a professional help if you're feeling it. Don't be afraid to call that suicide line. Don't feel afraid to reach out to, even if it's somebody older, and tell them how you're feeling.
Right.
You know what I mean? And people learn to reach out too. Fathers reach out because they always feel like, okay, well, she should have been on birth control. Well, you should have been on your game too.
Right.
It's not only just the woman. Be on your game too.
We talked about, healing and processing.
Yes.
Your daughter's of age now.
Yes.
So what are some of the things, because again, this world is different
Right.
than when we were kids.
Right.
What were some of your fears, and I say were and are because it's still present,
Right.
raising a 14-year-old young lady?
One thing I told her dad was, I don't care what me and you have. I know that me and you are not getting along or how you're feeling in your life or how you feel towards me. That has nothing to do with our child. I don't even care about the money. Be there for her because that's what I wanted so bad when I was a little girl. You know what I mean? Just be there for her. If you can't, let me know. Communication is the key. Just don't be the person who disappears. If you're just going to disappear, then just be a paycheck.
Right. It's difficult because even before we did last week's episode about fathers, my dad is no longer here, so I had to go and I had an hour-long conversation
Right.
with my stepmom. And it helped me heal because there were things I wanted to know about my dad. My dad is not my biological father. And I didn't know this until later on in life. So we just went along. I never was mistreated. I'm older than my brother, but I had to have that conversation last week with my stepmother before I can do last week's show.
Wow.
So you're in this position now, dealing with your daughter's father, knowing that you have father. I don't want to say daddy issues.
Yeah,
But,
I did have daddy issues. Like,
Right.
and it comes in different forms. Sometimes
Right.
some grow up to hate men.
Right.
Some grow up to have mental issues or self-esteem issues. So I went through that. Oh, trust me, I went through that. I was angry all the time.
Right.
I was just pissed off at how he dared treat me like that.
And now you have another
And then I'll
man
have
in your life
who's
doing
the
similar.
same thing.
Wow.
So I was all like, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and take it one day at a time and take care of me, and allow him to just go ahead and come around. If he comes around, great. But I set forward the steps and what I wanted from him, and I just let it happen. But I just took care of my daughter. You know what I mean? I did what I told myself is, you know what? I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna give her everything that I wasn't given, as far as emotionally and stuff like that. So lucky for me, he came around, and although we got divorced and everything, by me just working on myself and excelling, I think that brought a different type of respect in our relationship.
And your daughter sees it because again that
Yeah.
the number one thing is all back to your daughter.
It's all focus is my kid. You know what I mean? If trust me, he was a time where he left for 2 years. But he called and FaceTime and sent her gifts and did all that. So but he wasn't physically there. But she knew that okay, he had to go take care of his own mental issue.
Right.
So, fathers, they have their own little mental things too. So I'm not trying to throw all fathers under the bus. They have their own little, mental issues too. So sometimes if you see that, you kind of want to I just kind of backed off and just allowed him to have the relationship he feels he needed to have with his daughter.
Right, and again, that's what last week's show was about: is do Black Dads matter? Because that story really it shook me, and I can't imagine that father going through, again having a child as a single father, raising him for 10 months, only to find out he's not the bio dad. So I had two fathers on here, and we talked about those things. I did learn a lot from my dad before he passed. I actually sat in. He was talking in his sleep. And I heard some of the stuff he was saying, and when he woke up, I asked him, and we talked as an adult what it meant for him to be a single dad, and him, walking out on my mom because he cheated. And again, you don't know how it affects because men are supposed to be this strong, supportive with Black women, or just that's an automatic.
Right. We're supposed to be strong. We're not supposed to show any fear. We're not supposed to show that we're sad. We're not supposed to show any emotion. We're just supposed to do what we have to do. But in private, we break down. I've broken down. There was a time where, me and my daughter were living in a hotel. And then, I was just all like, man, my phone hasn't rung in a long time. Where's everybody at? And to see my daughter there and me there where I was just feel like it was rock bottom. But I was just all like, you know what? Forget this. This is not going to happen. And I just got up and I did my thing, but it was very hard to be in that situation.
Right.
And it was a situation what really hurt me is that, her dad, he came and he picked her up and I was in that situation. But I noticed that, I couldn't get mad at him because although I wanted him to help me, like you see me in this situation, you're her father, what are you going to do? But I had to just eat it up and be all like, you know what? We're two separate people. As far as individuals, the only concern is our daughter. So if that's where he had to pick up our daughter, she's okay and stuff like that. So be it. Even though I felt he was wrong for that, but what am I going to do? Because his responsibility is not to me, it was to her.
Did you get a lot of coaching, I guess to say, from your mom? Did you have those mother conversations?
Oh, yeah.
Because now you're a mother.
Because now I'm a mom. My mom was like, it was good when you was, You
Right.
weren't complaining. What did you think was going to happen? But she was all like, she loved her granddaughter. She loves her granddaughter to the moon and back. And she basically was just telling me, imagine having 4 kids. Imagine what I went through. If I can do
Right.
it with 4, you can do it with 1.
A lot of your support came from your mother.
From my mom, she's the only one that I have, and my brother and my sister.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's a different support.
Yeah, it's a different support because she's there when I have to work. She's there. She's always supported me. You know what I mean? As far as letting me be able to work, she'll watch her. My sister too, my family all came together and was all like, we got you. We got this.
Right. That's the positive side of the community of people is that they make it happen. And when you're a kid,
Right.
you don't see the magic that's done.
Right.
My mom, again, I'm the oldest of 7, so I have 5 sisters.
Wow.
And my mom, I remember on Sundays was hair and bath day. So she would take a couple. My aunts would take some. My cousin Tennille would take a couple of my sisters. And it literally is that saying, it takes a village.
It takes a village.
You
It takes
know.
a village. It does. A village of people. And just know, too, even with your struggles, when the light starts to shine, you'll find that the people who are supposed to be on the journey with you are going to be there for you.
Right.
The people who are supposed to be in your life when you're going through your storm are going to be there for you. So there are going to be people who love you, believe it or not. Even though you wake up and you feel like it's a quiet world, I'm going through this, what am I going to do? Anything? Take a step back and breathe. And then figure out what your next move is. Easier said than done,
And it's a journey.
It's a journey, but, you got this.
So what are some of the things that you're instilling in your daughter now, or that you've been working on since, she's coming of age?
Yeah, kind of, I always tell her when she has certain issues as far as bullying, because I already instilled in her to be really, she's beautiful. She's a queen since she was young because I seen those legs. So I knew she was going to be very tall. So just seeing what's going to happen in the future helped me, to be a better parent, especially stuff that happened to me. So I put like her self-esteem. We really work on that. Compassion, kindness, be a good listener, be good to people, and work hard,
Ladies and gentlemen, the telephone number is 323-577
Yes.
7630. If you have any questions or comment on either my page or Salamatu's page, hit us up. This
Yes.
is a conversation. And so, again, I'm so glad that you were inspired by last week's show
Yes.
to come on this week, because it
Oh,
means
yeah.
a lot. This journey that I'm on is, again, having a platform to share. I appreciate you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, I hope that, this, it helps somebody out there and it helps a single mom out there, because it's very hard. And, welfare only does so much, And that's one thing I want to talk about too, as far as like the welfare programs and the game programs. I mean, it would be nice if they had a program that they can put in Department of Social Service instead of these women going to gain to learn how to fill out an application and stuff like that, to encourage people with business owners, whether it be fast food, office work, or anything like that, to go to these places and hold job fairs. Because that'll be really easier for a single mom.
Do you think it's set up sort of the hamster wheel? Because I've seen it, even with
fail.
disability, you're only allowed a certain amount of income if you want to do better for yourself. What are some things that we can do to want to do better? Because there are some people who actually do want to work.
Yes, you do. You have some women who are out there. When I was going to apply for welfare and benefits for my daughter, because of course I needed it. I'm a single mom. I couldn't believe that they had a program to where, okay, it's gainful employment or whatever it is, but you go to these classes, you sit there, you hear somebody talk to you about learning how to resume, application, and stuff like that. Okay, that's nice and everything, but do you really think that I have time to go out and collect signatures? I need a
Talking
job.
about that CA7 form.
Yeah, I need a job.
I remember that thing.
You want to give me benefits? I need a job. So I always thought to myself, well, why can't employers come in here?
Right.
People who want to hire people, because a lot of these women are qualified,
Right.
and they just can't find work. Like me, I couldn't find work at one point.
Right.
So I think that will help, like just to encourage, business owners, just go in there and sit down, set up a table, have your applications ready, and help women fill out, applications and hire them.
Right. Because it is sad to say, but it is kind of setting us up for failure.
For failure. I
In,
mean,
in lower poverty
yeah,
communities,
yes.
they tell you, oh, get out and job, but they're not giving you the skills.
The skills. So, if I have 4 children at home, I have to go pick up my youngest one at this time and do this and do all that. How, you want me to hop on the bus and go to all these places, get back on the bus and do all that? How about you come?
Right, and
help,
the minute you make a mistake or you don't turn your CA7 form in,
Eh,
they cut your benefits off.
benefits off, and it's not much.
Right, and you're already doing the best you
You
can
can
with the little bit that you
that
got.
you have.
How do you think we can change that stereotype, that stigma on single mothers, single fathers, and co-parenting, just to get it out there? Because there's so many people that get stuck.
They get stuck. I mean, I think have more resources and that really work that can help, because I mean, even if it's with housing, it's like, what are you gonna do if if you didn't get an eviction and you have children?
Right.
We've been through that process. And it
happens
does
every day.
It happens every day, and the effects of a single mother raising kids by herself and having to jump place to place, from this place to this place, from this place to this place, does a lot. It creates PTSD, mental illness, suicidal thoughts. There was a story right now where a woman tried to choke her baby. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure it's contributed from just having too much.
Right.
And there's a boy who committed suicide and jumped in front of a train. But guess what? His mom and his family were living in a hotel. And again, friends and family were what? Ghosted.
Right.
No help, no community. Like you said, it takes a village to raise a kid. But if you're going through it, sometimes people really don't want to. It's very hard.
It's bringing back memories of my mom and raising us and going from this Section 8 apartment to that.
Yeah.
And then you're in this school for a little while. And then you have to go, and that affects you.
It affects you.
And hopefully we, and I include myself because I'm still working on so many different things in life, but it affects you.
It does.
And then you don't realize it affects you until you're able to sit down and have that conversation with yourself.
Right.
That I have abandonment issues. I
Yes.
have commitment issues.
Right.
But as a people, we number one have to acknowledge that we do.
Yes.
And then we can move on
Right.
to try to help somebody else.
Right.
And again, you're not perfect. You're not thinking that you're all that.
No.
But if I have a little bit of something,
Right.
I want to share that with someone, whether
Yes.
it's a self-esteem,
Right.
whether it's putting an affirmation on my page,
Right.
whether it's, having this platform.
Right.
I want to be that person to assist us, and hopefully someone can take it. We're so busy in a society where it's about me, me, me.
Me, right.
And once we've got to that place of where we're going to get, then we forget.
Then we forget, yeah.
And I'm glad that you saw last week's show. Thank you
Yes.
again for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Questions, comments, mothers,
Questions and
fathers.
comments, yes.
What are some of the joys you have now being a single mother?
Oh, seeing my daughter grow up, being able to go through all her activities, seeing her just develop into just a wonderful young lady.
Despite everything.
Despite everything we went through, it's like, at the end of the day, you sit back and you're like, I'm glad that I made some of the choices that I made and allowing, certain things to happen, because now we're in a good place with her dad, and we're really good co-parents, and he's in her life, and he's a good dad, and I do give him his props.
And that's a thing. I'm glad. Again, hopefully we can get some people on here for the co-parenting show. We don't see the positive sides of that.
Right.
It's because you're co-parenting, but then you're also dealing with your personal issues, and at the same time trying to deal with that. That ain't easy. That ain't easy to juggle.
It's very, very hard.
What do you recommend, or what's some of the things that works for you?
Communication. I had to learn how to listen on my end. I could tell you the things I had to learn. I had to learn to listen, because not everything needs a reaction. Okay. I used to be the one like, I'm tired. I just got off a 16-hour shift, certified nursing assistant now, and it's his time to get her. He doesn't pick up the phone. So I'm over here leaving back-to-back messages. And you find out he went away for the weekend. And then if you're not mentally there goes the issue.
Right.
Some women, they're not mentally there. So they go with the depression, and then the drugs, and then the showing up and popping up and hating the girlfriend and stuff like that. Right. But you know what? If you just get your help and stay in your own lane and do you and heal you first, everything will fall into place.
Yeah,
That's one thing that I had to learn, to heal myself. So I had to take a step back, whether it's moving away from friends, whether it's incubating yourself and just being a little hermit in your own world so you get to give yourself time to heal. Do that.
right. And I want us to see that more, that it's okay to be okay. We're so busy running from relationship to relationship
Right.
and not just
Right.
business, friendship, and not processing, not giving ourselves enough time to say what went wrong or
Right.
what went right.
Yes.
You know, we don't allow ourselves because we're so busy going on to the next episode, as they say.
Yeah. Trust me, I've been through that too. I had my little whole stages. You know, I was all like, okay, I'm done. This is the way men are. Well, I'm going to play that game too. So, I mean, I had my little, but I had to sit back and be like, you know what? At the end of the day, I need to heal myself. When I heal myself, I can see through I can see better. So that's pretty much what I did. I was like, you know what? Let me just concentrate on me, concentrate on my healing. It's not even about him anymore. It's about me being healthy enough to continue raising my daughter.
Right. And again, that's a duality that we're constantly looking at. And again, it's so funny that people are so bothered by your healing, what
yeah.
you have to do to heal.
Absolutely.
You know, let me see, did you really want to talk about your... Are you, Tanil, are you asking that question to me or to Salamatu? She says, did you find someone to talk to about your thoughts?
Yes, I actually did. My sister was a great person to go through. Great people at work were good people to go to. Actually, my supervisor was somebody who said, you know what, talk to me. I did. I took them up on their offer. I read self-help books. My mother, she was a great person because she's a good listener.
Right.
So, yes.
Right. She asked the question to both of us, and I am in that process. I've been on that process and that journey, whether people see it or not. It's not up to them to judge, but I know where I am today versus
Right.
where I was yesterday, hell, 5 minutes ago.
Yes.
You know, I always say there's so many imperfect, perfect people because they want to tell you how things should be done, or you make one mistake and they want to hold that to you.
Yes.
Instead of looking at that mirror and turning that mirror around,
Yeah.
I can't tell you, again, it's so funny. We see all these, when you point one finger, you got four pointing back at you.
Right.
While you sitting there telling my business, you've had memory lapse on your business.
On your business, right.
You're trying to tell me all these things. And so it's a process. It's a daily process.
Yes.
Being vulnerable. Oh my God.
Yes. I had to learn that because I was always tough.
Oh, yeah.
Because, getting bullied in school, my mom was all like, you know what? Just, kick their ass.
Right.
That's how my mom was. Like, you're going to stand up for yourself. You're going to
that's
stop
how we're
crying and doing.
taught.
Yeah,
So it ain't gonna work, baby, because I can say I'm so proud. At 41 years old, I've never been to jail.
So yeah.
Ain't like I ain't never did nothing to get there. But I'm glad
So I had
that,
to learn.
in the midst of everything that has happened to me, I've had a few people in my life, and I'm
Right.
grateful
Very grateful.
for those experiences.
Yes. You always don't remember, and you keep them in mind, that person where, when you were struggling, that person came through for you. And you keep those people in your life because you'll be surprised who come out. And those are the people that you cherish for a very long time.
Yeah.
Who saw you besides that, when you didn't have that car, when you didn't have that, nice house, when you weren't chilling and partying and doing all that. So
Right, and you have people who see you now, and they're like, "Oh, you're always busy and you're doing something."
yes,
They're
because-
just, I am honest with myself. So you see that on Facebook, but you don't, you also know the days where I isolate for 2 and 3 days and I don't do anything, or the things that I've gone through.
Right.
This society is so used to everyone pretending like there's something that they're not, and so it leads to other people hurting people. We always say, "Oh, hurt people hurt other people," and I say, "No, hurt people hurt other people because they want to."
Yes.
If you know that you've been hurt in any way, shape, or form,
You should.
hopefully you would want not to do that to
Just to
somebody else.
Absolutely.
And it's a joy. Like we ran into a couple of my ex-clients today at Target. I was so happy and seeing just the conversations that I was able to share with them for that short time really made me feel good. Because I have people in my life who loved me when I didn't know how to love myself.
Yes.
Had seen me at my worst,
Seen me at my worst, and
and we see each other now, and it's just like we have that. It's like this.
Yes.
You know.
You appreciate those people who took you out of, that dark place and put you into the light, you know. So
What are we on
we
time,
thank you.
producer Paul? We got about 5 left. Okay, 5 left. So this has been a very interesting. I'm so glad that you're joining me on this leg of the show. I'm bringing people in, giving people a platform as well to share their stories. Hopefully, we can inspire other people because time is of the essence. Honey.
It is.
It's very limited.
It
And
is.
one of my favorite gospel songs by the Clark Singers is My Living in Vain. And they simply say, if I can help somebody along the way,
Right.
is my living in vain?
Yes.
And I've had that in my heart for years. It's like, I don't have much.
Right.
I just have my honesty in my heart.
Right.
I know that's more valuable than anything
Yes,
that you
it
can
is.
buy, that you can obtain.
Absolutely.
When someone genuinely cares about you without expecting anything back,
Right.
it means a lot.
It means a lot. It means a lot.
You know,
It
and I
really
know that
does.
it's been given to me by many, and I thank them. And when I see them now, it's like, thank you. And
Yes.
I've had to stop them and tell them, because again, you want to give people their flowers when they're still here.
Yeah, you do.
But it helps me. And again, I stand on the shoulders of strong men and women
Right.
who have never got an award, who've never got anything other than just, and it could be something small.
Right.
It matters in this life.
It
the
does.
karma that we have.
Yes.
I'm trying to duck karma right now.
Yeah, karma,
So
be good, be kind.
right, hold on. Tanil is saying keeping busy can be a good distraction. However, sometimes it's good to sit with yourself. Sometimes you are your only cheerleader. Well, I know about cheerleading, Tanil. But yeah, I've had to sit and in those quiet places. I tell people that sometimes you literally and figuratively have to get naked with yourself.
Oh yeah, sometimes you do.
And it's
Yes.
not. It's just to ask yourself what's going on.
What's
my accountability? Another one of my favorite words,
Yes,
accountability.
take accountability.
You know,
when you're wrong, you're wrong. When you're right,
and
you're
and
right.
just be honest with yourself and be honest. Again, if you
brutally
can't-
honest, even if it happens.
it hurts.
It hurts. but
Vulnerability, being vulnerable hurts, but
it
at the
does.
end, it feels so much.
It's
good.
so much better.
It feels like I can't express. It feels like a fresh rain.
Yes.
It feels when you're honest and
Done
you're
crying.
doing something.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
I wish us all to get to that level.
Right.
And again, it is nothing against social media. It is what it is. Because if it wasn't for social media, we wldn't have still been friends.
Exactly.
Use it for the good. Everything.
Yeah.
But find that space in yourself. Be honest with yourself.
Yes.
There's a lot of things in life we can't change.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in church.
We can change how we see them,
How we see them,
and how
how
we
we view-
respond to them.
Yeah, exactly.
You know-
and I had to learn that. Trust me. I had to learn that. It took me a long time, but I had to learn that.
Right.
I really did.
So if we were to wrap up everything we talked about today, your journey, your advice, what would that be?
I would say, to all the single mothers out there, like I said, you know what I mean? It's one day at a time, and although you might not see it right now, through the storm, there's light. There is a light, and just keep going, no matter where you are and what you do as a profession, whatever your educational background is. Being a single mother is very hard. There is no pay rate for that. There isn't.
Right.
So, just one day at a time and keep your head up and everything will be okay.
The dads just on last week's show were saying that when they became dads, it helped them become a better person.
Yes.
Is that something that's true?
Yeah, that's very true, because I know that when my child's father, seeing him with her right now, how he was before and how he just handles her is very different. I mean, he learned to be patient. He learned to be responsible. He learned to be on time. Things like he wasn't doing when we were together. So, I mean, it's something that he had to learn too. So
If you can go back and tell your pre-motherhood self something, what do
keep
you
my
think?
legs closed.
Close your legs.
Close them legs. Close them legs.
But what do you think you would? Because I look back, I'm like, man, I don't think I want to be around my 20-year-old self.
Oh no. Oh my God. I would say, give yourself more time to learn and grow and bloom and experience life.
Right. I would definitely tell myself to. It's not as serious as if you make it.
Right.
Give yourself opportunities, because I beat myself up way more
Yeah.
than
we tend to
anybody
do
can
that,
ever do,
humans.
or I would let them do, quiet as kept. But I would tell myself, and I constantly have to remind myself all the time to be good to myself, to not let small things, people's opinions, their idea of what you should do with your life. A lot of my career has happened because I didn't do that. There's a
Right.
lot of things I would be remiss
Yeah,
if I didn't
I
allow
think,
myself to experience them.
yeah, that's very true.
And
That's very,
if we can say that to anybody in life, anybody watching this, anybody listening, be good to yourself.
be very
Allow
good.
yourself life. If
Exactly.
you have a feeling for, even if you don't like it, at least allow yourself that opportunity.
To experience.
We dismiss everything, all the stuff that our parents taught us, black people do this and stuff like that, or everything that's assigned to our gender, our race, our weight class.
It's not always
But when I'm on stage, I'm 150 pounds, honey.
right.
You know,
Right.
I enjoy performing. I enjoy
Exactly.
living life. And again, people are seeing the good side, but they're not seeing, they see the 1 or 2 gigs I'm doing. Oh, they done seen all the callbacks I didn't get.
Right.
Or the rehearsals and things like that.
You're
But
right.
I would have never got to that place if I didn't allow myself to experience that.
Experience.
So if you don't take anything from any of my shows thus far, today's show, be good to yourself and
good to
allow
yourself.
yourself to live life according to you.
To live life according to you, yes.
Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen,
Thank
and
you
ladies.
so much for having me. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
It's so good to
I
see
really
you. We
do.
haven't seen each. I was like, when we saw each other today, I was just like, wow.
Wow, it's been a long time.
Right, and
We're all
I'm
grown.
glad, again, Facebook is good for people who use it for good.
Use it for good. Right.
So I appreciate you again coming in,
Thank you
being
so much.
vulnerable.
I appreciate the time.
Thank you. We about
I
to
do.
go out and have some Taco Tuesdays and get some cocktails.
Yes.
So while she's down here in LA, we going,
Yes.
you came all the way from the Valley.
From the Valley.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
you're
You
very
didn't have to
welcome.
do it. And
You're
we've
very
talked,
welcome.
all last week. Again, I thank you so much. We're about to
Yes.
enjoy the rest of our day. Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank
gentlemen
you for
and ladies.
tuning in.
Yes.
Everybody who tuned in on my page, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
That is it for me. This is Agree to Disagree Talk, episode number 17. We are officially out. Deuces.
Sis.